Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is the week in review. It's been a pretty meh week. I'll be honest, I was pretty checked out. Most of my stuff just comes through YouTube recaps, especially the important stuff. NXT had a PLE tonight, so I don't even really think we're going to spend much time on the NXT show tonight. Really, the only thing worthwhile talking about from there that I don't think any direct bearing on Vengeance Day was the D'Angelo Holland cage match for the NXT North American Championship and Izzy Dame aligning with Sean Spears, or excuse me, apologies to Sean Carpenter, Ty Spears. Um, very round, very mediocre. Around head-wise, of course. Uh, just very bland. So I kind of feel bad for Izzy, but it is what it is. But do you know who I feel even more bad for, folks? This fucking hero who, while I was with my family eating pizza and drinking coconut water, which has been a weird experience, actually decided to watch NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. And because I didn't have my tablet on me, I really wanted to be into the shows we were watching. I highly recommend both Bad Monkey and Severance for anybody that has Apple TV Plus. He said, quote, I need to thank you, by the way, for being so adamant that we not cover this show. And that, of course, being my delightful cohort and commentary, who made a noble sacrifice tonight in watching this show. I thought we'd open with it because it's the most immediate thing, partner. What are your thoughts now that you've had some time to digest it about Vengeance Day?
Um, I think that I was kind of spiraling when I sent you that message, to be fair. I don't think the show was quite as bad as I thought it was when I sent that message, but I oh God, I have mixed feelings about it. There's one specific result on the show that I think is unjustifiable.
And if I could just take a crack at it, because I did read the results from TJRWrestling.net, so I want to plug them again because I use this blog every week to fill in the gaps that I miss. Was it Ethan beating Javon? Because that pissed
No,
me off reading that. No.
no. Javon went into that hurt. It makes sense. Like in hindsight, it's reasonable to me that Ethan would beat Javon to set up for Javon coming back healthier later and getting his win back, and maybe using that to kind of, you know, slingshot Javon into the title picture. I get that. No, to me, the unjustifiable thing is Eddie beating Trick. I do not understand how you can justify that.
I think I must have blacked that out because I swear to you, I read those results, but I must have glossed over that. I can't believe they had Eddie beat Trick.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? What? Oh my god. Okay. Um, Let me ask you about something potentially positive on this show before we excavate any of the remaining negative, because we know Oba retained. We
Yeah,
expected it.
after those two matches happened back to back, I was in a really bad headspace, and I barely even paid attention to the world title triple threat. Thankfully, Oba did retain.
And then the women's match became a fatal four-way. I'm guessing that had something to do with what happened on NXT that I just completely noped out of this week. Again, I was very checked out this week, admittedly.
Yeah,
Because yeah, then
I thought I told you about this actually. Bailey versus Cora Jade was the first match that happened on NXT TV this week, and Roxanne dressed up as Bailey and showed up and distracted Bailey and helped Cora to win the match, which led to Cora being added to the title match.
okay, okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Um, Stephanie winning the North American again. That was to be expected. Stephanie has been on such a roll. I figured that fatal influence their run with the title was going to end, and now I'm just expecting the whole group to fall apart because we know that JC and Fallon have been kind of like at odds, like very quietly at odds. But now I think that's going to get progressed and it's going to get louder, so to speak, the descent in the coming weeks. Um, Fraxium still the fucking tag champs, but this is the good thing I want to talk about. how did the groups debut, the four guys that we know, one of them is Dion Lennox? How did that come off
Yeah.
to you? Was that a bright spot?
I mean, here's the thing, dude. Imagine the Nexus debut on Raw
Yeah.
if it happened in the middle of the show and wasn't given time to breathe.
Ah, that sucks.
Because it had very similar vibes to that, where it was like very out of nowhere and very chaotic, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. What the hell's going on here? But it also felt very blink and you miss it. It felt like it lasted all of maybe like 45 seconds tops.
Ask you something. Given that you said that, because I like the Julia main event of this PLE. I do think that's cool, and I don't want to take that away from the women. Do you think it would have been better if we would have had Fraxium versus Inamura and Briggs? We could even do it on the next NXT because I know this NXT again was a main evented by the cage match and Izzy Dame, joining forces. Do you feel like it would have just been better if that 4-man group closed that episode of NXT post
Yes.
Vengeance Day?
Much, much better. I think that would have
Yeah,
worked out way better for sure.
yeah, because then you could have had Fraxium main event it, which would have been cool for Inamura and Briggs as well, I
Yeah.
guess. And then
And that's the thing is that like that match main eventing an episode of NXT TV would have made perfect sense. Especially just because I don't think. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think that there were definitely some people that thought that Briggs and Yamura were going to win. I'm so fucking jaded at this point that I never expect anyone to beat Fraxium.
yeah,
Um, but the people who love Fraxium would have been really happy when they retained against this team, and those guys are the biggest sort of mainstays in NXT. So them retaining and then only to get attacked afterwards, I think would have been a really impactful end to an episode of NXT, especially again if it would have gotten time to breathe, if it would have been like, okay, like these guys are beating the hell out of not only Fraxium, but also these bigger guys in Briggs and Inamura, because they attacked all four guys. They didn't just go after Fraxium, they attacked all four guys. And the idea that they could have taken out all four of those guys who were involved in the tag title match and then stood tall to close a show, I think would have been fantastic. But unfortunately, here, they attacked all four guys and then fled, and that was just it. We had to cut and move to the next thing. And unfortunately, the next thing was fucking Ethan, or not Ethan, Eddie and Trick.
and like, okay, so first of all, I just want to say about the 4-man group because I'm feeling very casual. I'm feeling very good today, and so I just want to kind of just pal around with you, talk about this stuff. I really do like Dion, and I'm really really happy that Dion's got this. I do appreciate though your honesty about like the placement of this segment. Now, to get to talking about structure and this and that, to kind of continue in that sentiment, I don't know what. First of all, you shouldn't be pushing Eddie Thorpe. Just to me, he's very bland. I don't get it. I've already said on my TWitWoW Blue Sky, which I'll admit I rarely use because Russell Sky is just dead right now. Check back in with me in a few months if we get anything other than AEW stands. But I said like to do a gimmick like this and to do it successfully, you need the promo chops or like the innate charisma of a Muhammad Hassan. Like I will always feel bad with that dude. I know he's living his best life now as like a school principal. That dude should have gotten at least one world title reign because he killed it every time he came out there. And he wasn't even like the best in ring guy, but the character, he fucking nailed it. And as far as the in ring, you know, at least he never hurt anybody, right? Thorpe, I'm not saying like he's injury prone or anything like that, but he's just very bland. I don't really even dislike him in the way that as a kid I disliked Hassan. It's just like go away. And he already got a shot against Oba. He lost. Trick got a trick shot to him. It was a great camera shot where he's staring down Oba. He takes care of Eddie, right there. I'm thinking, cool. Eddie's out of the way. But now with him beating Trick, like you don't just have him circle back in my mind to the title picture, but then you can't put him in the North American title picture because D'Angelo now is back in it with Spears and his gang of people now with Izzy Dame, which that is again the one thing I don't really want to talk about NXT too much this week, given that they did have Vengeance Day and that's our focus. But that'll be the only thing from NXT I think we can talk about when we get to it. So like, what do you do with Eddie? Because North American title's occupied.
No, dude,
World
I'm
title's
telling
on.
you right now, I already predicted, and I'm gonna just say it out loud here for you to hear for the first time, and whoever wasn't in live wrestling discussion to see me say it. I think our stand and deliver main event, or maybe not main event because they might have Julia main event again at this point. But I think our stand and deliver world title match is going to be Oba in a triple threat again against Eddie again, and worse, this time also Ethan Page. Triple threat.
Stand and deliver main event sucks ass, bro.
That's why
If
I'm
you're
saying they
yeah,
might have Julia main event again because they're getting Oba's worst opponents out of the way. I mean, I say it like that, but realistically, I don't think that they see it that way. I think that they see it as like they're giving Oba kind of like filler defenses early in his run to kind of build up to more sort of believable opponents that might actually have a shot at beating him for the title down the line.
God, I hate that his reign and Utami's reign in Modern Gold feels so similar to me,
Yeah,
booking
in
wise.
a
It's
bad
like,
way. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, in a bad way. It's like, I love these people. I worship these people. Why is my faith being punished? The fuck is this? That's ass, man.
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. It's wow. I think that broke me because here's the thing. You know what the fuck you're talking about. I take the shit you tell me very seriously, even when you're wrong. It always comes from a good place. It always comes from a logical place. And so if that's where your mind's at, and I could see why, because Ethan also won his match tonight. And again, we already know Tony is locked up. Man, there was a brief period where I really felt like NXT was the best show of the three. And now I feel like Raw's kind of taking that back again, at least for me. But then again, honestly, Jacob Fatu is so over and so good. Maybe SmackDown, if they could really get themselves together. I mean, it would be a big help if Cody wasn't champion. I don't know, man. WWE is just in a weird place because I don't hate it, but a lot of questionable decisions in my mind. Um, okay, so yeah, Eddie Thorpe beat Trick. Ethan beat Javon. Love that for Javon so much. Man, I really thought that him and Oba would be locking up pretty soon. And we were talking about over retaining, and of course Julia retaining. Jordan Grace, though, at the end of the show came out. Like Stephanie and Julia were posing with their titles together. Then Jordan Grace came out. How soon do we think that could be stand and deliver Julia versus Jordan Grace, or could that be another triple threat? Julia versus Jordan versus Stephanie? Because I know
Yeah, that's more like I'm almost wondering if they're gonna do like one of those like crazy like matches where both titles are on the line and like first pinfall wins the world title and then the other two women go after go at it for and the winner of that wins the North American title kind of thing like that kind of crazy rule set. Well, there was like I think there was like a Kurt Angle match that had a similar rule set like in the
it was
2000s.
WrestleMania 2000, friend, because he was the Euro Continental Champion and he was in a
Right.
triple threat with Jericho and Benoit.
Right, right. Yeah. I could see
Yeah,
them doing something like that with Julia, Stephanie, and Jordan and that main eventing stand and deliver, just straight up.
yeah.
Because I mean, Julia, Bailey, Roxanne, and Cora main evented this show. Um, Roxanne, I believe, ate the pin.
Yes, she did. She did after a Northern Lights bomb, according to the recap that I read. I was
Um,
surprised to see Roxanne eat the pin again, actually. I thought that's what Cora was for.
yeah. I'll tell you right now, by the way, speaking of Cora, NXT Twitter, NXT Blue Sky, the people on social media who actually like and watch NXT on a regular basis had more positive things to say about Cora Jade than anyone else involved in that match.
Interesting, because I don't think Cora sucks by any means, but I do think she's the most limited of the other
I
three
agree,
people in the ring.
and having watched the match with maybe about 60 to 70% attention, because I always multitask and do other things and stuff.
Yes.
I would say that um, if you're more of like a casual fan and you're just kind of watching it, without having paid attention to wrestling and kind of knowing what's going on behind the scenes like we do, I can definitely understand how you would come away with that because Cora kind of did the most impressive shit. Like she did the most fun shit. She had the most, like facial expressions that were kind of attention grabbing and stuff like that. I think from my personal perspective, I felt like Bailey kind of carried the match like she always fucking does.
Yeah.
She, it felt very much like Bailey was kind of calling the match to some degree.
Yeah.
Roxanne had some fantastic moments. I do think that I one thing I will agree with, with the internet about is that I do think that Julia was the least impressive out of the four, just strictly in
Ooh.
terms of like she had the fewest like moments. Like she didn't really have any like wow moments. But like Cora, the most memorable thing that Cora did to me, again, being somebody who's been watching this forever and has certain expectations for my wrestlers, the most memorable thing that Cora did for me wasn't a good thing. It was a bad thing. And it was that she hit a big move on, I want to say it was Roxanne, because I think this was right before the finish. And then she went to pin her like shooting the half style, but then she remembered, like, oh shit, wait, that's right. Julia has to knee me. And so she quick sat up, turned around, got in position, and pulled up Roxanne's leg like she was trying to pin her just to make sure she was in position for Julia to come in and knee her. It was like, okay, that's like, okay, you're still green and you forgot your spot. You're like trying to remember your spots on the fly.
Yeah.
Um, I really kind of have to wonder how many people on the social medias that are praising Roxanne for the match are didn't catch that at all, or how many of them are like, yeah, they noticed and they just think that that's not a big deal. Because to me, that's like giving away the game. That's like, oh, this is clearly scripted and choreographed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she
Exactly.
literally positioned herself better in the pinfall so that she could get kneed in the face by Julia. Like she shoved her head out and everything. It was so obviously cooperative. It's
Telegraphed.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then, Julia grabs Roxanne, hits her with the knee, and I'm pretty sure that led into the finish. I could be wrong. But yeah, no, it was Julia. I, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they don't get it with Julia, that they don't really see like what she does well and stuff. And it's kind of funny actually. It kind of reminds me of when you had her as like an overrated talent a few years ago.
Yeah.
Cause it's like sometimes star power doesn't need to be fucking explained.
True. True.
And Julia just has star power. Like she passes the airport test. She walks into a room and it's like people pay attention to her. She has the look and she's a damn good wrestler, even if she's not like a Roxanne level wrestler. And I mean, I know you see that too, and I just want you to know that I see it too. Like I'm not trying to say Julia is an amazing, like S tier wrestler. I think she's a good enough wrestler, and I do think she can have great matches. I mean, we've seen her have fantastic wrestlers with Megan Bayne and other wrestlers too. But like Megan Bayne comes to mind because like Megan Bayne is like one of those women that like isn't gonna have a great match without a great wrestler taking her to one. Like she's someone that has to get carried to a great match, and that's something that Julia has done several times, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, like I think that people are gonna sleep on Julia until she's in a situation where she actually gets the opportunity to put on that fantastic one-on-one type match with someone that can really go. I mean, we've seen her have really good matches with Roxanne already. I guess that they just don't click quite as well in the ring. I think Julia does work better with bigger opponents, which is also a problem in NXT. Dude, Julia Lash would slap, honestly. Give me Julia
Right.
Lash.
I agree. Yeah. Julia, I think would cook with Lash Legend for sure.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting because Julia works better against people who can bully her, which I really that's more what I should say rather than Julia works better against bigger people because it doesn't have to be a bigger opponent. But like when she wrestled against Sari, Sari's smaller than her, but Sari can bully people, and she bullied the fuck out of Julia, and their matches were great.
Yes.
So like yeah, I mean yeah, Julia I think just works best when she is fighting from underneath, honestly, which is weird because she doesn't look like an underdog, but yeah.
Um.
Abel's here, and I mentioned Lash Legend once, and it's like I practically summoned him. He's like Lash Legend mentioned.
Yes, yes. I will just say, because Foster brought up an interesting point, and I saw it in the recap again. Credit to John Canton, TJRWrestling.net, where the Dion Lennox faction also attacked Oba after his match. So I have to wonder if Dion Lennox, that tease he made a few weeks
Mm.
back, that one day he was going to be in the ring with Oba, if
I did
maybe
not
Dion.
see that. I did not see that. So
Yeah,
that I really appreciate that being noted. Yeah, I did not see that at all. I didn't know about that.
yeah, I'm wondering now if Dion Lennox is gonna get a shot at Oba, because that would get me out of bed. Like
See, but
if
you know what though? Because Dion hasn't really been built up to as being worthy of the main event, that would be a TV title match. I feel like.
you know what? I concede that point, and this just makes me angrier at NXT booking because, like, I know we can't travel back in time and manipulate time, but I wish that, like, the rub that Eddie Thorpe has gotten, it would have gone to Dion, and then you could just forget about the strap stipulation. You would have just had him beat Trick in a singles match at Vengeance Day, and like, then I would have been like, oh, he's number one contender material, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I still
I
can't
don't
get
think
over
any
the
of us
reversal.
would have been upset about Dion Lennox getting the push that Eddie Thorpe has gotten.
Just don't understand why they're pushing Eddie Thorpe, bro. I don't get it. Um, yeah. But yeah, I guess that's Vengeance Day. We know that eventually, again, Jordan
Oh,
Grace
did
will
you
play left.
you knew about Stephanie winning the title, right?
Yeah, we talked about that
Okay,
earlier.
yeah.
I'm just glad that yeah, Fatal Influence is done with the title at least. Now I'm thinking the next big
Oh,
thing might just be a Fallon JC feud. I don't know,
we did
because
get some matches announced for NXT on Tuesday.
yeah,
Let me see if I can find them. I wrote them down in the chat. Here we go. So the reason that I bring this up now is because there's going to be a number one contendership triple threat for the North American Women's Championship on Tuesday. Do you know who it's going to be, or should I say it?
you could say it.
Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan versus Carmen Petrovich.
I'm hoping Jada wins that, but for some reason I'm thinking Carmen's gonna
Kalani.
win it.
Oh, I'm thinking Kalani's going to win it. I think they're going to want to put like the most credible possible people in there with Stephanie to kind of feed her reign a little bit early on, and I think that that's Kalani right now.
See, and I think because they're already teasing like Kalani and Jada feuding, and because Kalani has been really extra, let's remember that Carmen beat her by ref reversal. What
Yeah,
was it, 2 weeks ago?
that's true,
Um,
but there are no disqualifications in a triple threat match though.
True. I still think Carmen's gonna get it though because she's got the least going on, and I think it's just the new ideology in wrestling right now that hey, really cool people having titles, let's feed them shitters at first and draw out the title reign, and then make it more compelling as we progress. Which part of me gets, but then the other part of me is like, hey, fuck you. So we'll have to see what happens. But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
any
fair.
other matches happening on NXT that are worth
Yeah,
noting?
actually. So Ricky Starks did have a brief appearance on the show tonight. Not live. It was like one of those like video package via satellite things where he just basically said, "Yeah, you saw me on Tuesday. You know who I am already, and you're going to see me again this coming Tuesday, where I will be in that NXT ring signing my official NXT contract." So that's where we're going to see him. We're getting Stacks versus Spears on Tuesday.
Ew.
And now for the real, highlight other than the triple threat. Abel, I know I'm about to perk your ears up because Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson are going to be taking on Sol Ruka and Zarya.
Yeah, that story where I'm still waiting for Zario to just pop off on Zolruka, but they're winning right now, so there's no reason to pop off.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah,
But that's the plan right now for NXT this coming week, and I think they did a pretty good job of laying some stuff out to make it, make people want to tune in. It's got me wanting to tune in for the two women's matches at least.
yeah, well, you know what? At least women's wrestling stays winning, so that's
I mean, the
good.
women's matches were the highlight of the show. They really were. It bookended. Like the women's matches opened and closed the show. Stephanie, I think, was the standout performance of the entire show. She was
Yeah.
fantastic against Fallon. And then the main event match, I think, was the best match overall of the entire show. Even if I wouldn't say that any of the women in that stood out more than Stephanie as an individual, I think that that was match of the night, and I won't call it a match of the year candidate, even though it was really good.
Excellent. While we're just on the subject of NXT, let's just like take care of all of it. Again, I said for me, because Vengeance Day did happen tonight, we don't need to talk about like all of NXT this week. I just wanted to get your thoughts because I know you've been like, kind of advocating for her, uptaking for her at times. What do you think about the direction of this whole Izzy Dame like development in the story
I'm
with
pissed,
Tony
man.
Tuesday?
I'm fucking pissed about it. That's what I feel.
Yeah, you know what? I figured, and you know what, man? I'm right there with you. I'm like, what the? Because here's
I
the thing.
wanted Izzy
Yeah.
and Rizzo to be a tag team. I wanted them to beat the Meta Girls, and I wanted them to beat Zarya and Sol Ruka, and I wanted them to go after the tag team championships. God damn it!
Yeah, and just life was just like, that's really interesting and inspired. No.
No,
Um,
absolutely
uh,
not. Did Ridge win the North American Championship?
he lost. Tony retained. Tony
Wow,
retained because I
wow.
watched the closing minutes of that match on YouTube because they uploaded the full match on YouTube.
How
And
I don't you know I'm really really confused by the way, and it really just comes down to I think HBK is just a fraud. I think HBK is just a shitty booker trying to pretend to be a good one. Because like Izzy was gonna throw a crowbar in to help Tony D very clearly, and Stacks grabbed it and was like, "No, you shouldn't do that." And then like Tony D struggled a little more, and Stacks threw it in between Tony D and Ridge, and it was like, "Oh shit, was that on purpose? Is Stacks turning on Tony?" And like it didn't play into the finish at all, and it didn't even play into the actual turn that ended up happening at all. And then not only that, but like they didn't even Izzy betrayed Tony, but she didn't even do it in such a way that helped Ridge beat Tony because she wasn't betraying Tony for Ridge. She was betraying Tony for Sean Spears. This was all so bad.
so thank you for filling in the gaps of other parts of the story I might have missed like in that match because again I watched like the very tail end, so mainly the betrayal and stuff. But like I get why Stacks would do that, given the one stand and deliver. What was it last year when it was him versus Ilya? And Tony said no, I don't need brass knucks or whatever. So Stacks knows what Tony's about. So I like that character beat from Stacks, but only for Stacks to go and introduce the crowbar anyway. That makes no fucking sense. So thanks, I hate it. And then is he doing this? Like, look, we've been very upfront, guys. We are a political podcast. I mean, really, we're more of a political podcast that talks about wrestling these days because everything's political. And I know you all know this, but the world's on fucking fire. So at first, I was like, oh, cool, creepy man getting put in his place. But now the woman has aligned with the creepy man. And I'm like, I don't know, man. This isn't as bad as, say, if like Melissa Santos did a line with Marty the Moth. Like Lucha Underground wasn't that unhinged, and I really appreciate them for that. But this still kind of had me giving the side eye, man. I'm like, what rationale are you going to come up with after everything for Izzy to be like, you know what, Sean, you have had such a stunning career with amazing achievements like, wait,
Entering the Royal Rumble at number 10.
yeah, oh, yep. And that was all I had on the list. But anyway, I know you're going to be the one to save my career. The fuck?
Oh,
This was dumb, dude. This was dumb. Um,
this show is written so fucking poorly.
I mean, you know what? I was going to say something horrible, but I'm really trying to
This is
reform, so
what
I'm going to
happens
follow
when
that
you
one.
sign a bunch of fucking dweebs from AEW. Your writer gets infected with Tony Khanisms.
Yeah, you know what? Fair point. And speaking of AEW, are we excited about Ricky Starks? Because I like Ricky Starks
I am,
personally, so I'm willing to give him a chance.
very mildly. He does have like a certain star quality to him. He's very charismatic. I think he does have aura right now. But I I'm definitely in more of a wait and see mode with him. I'm way more excited about him than I have been about literally anyone else that's ever jumped ship to WWE from AEW ever that wasn't
Yeah.
already in WWE prior.
Yeah. I like Ricky Starks, man. I can see where like okay, I want to phrase this very carefully. Um he's like LA Knight light. And I say light because he's very clearly doing like a rock impression to a degree, but I do think he's a far better in-ring worker than Knight is, and that's why I
You know
stress the
what
light
though? I
part.
think I think here's my thing. I think it's LA Knight is like it's The Rock but at home.
Yes, yes.
But Ricky is more like let me take what The Rock did in the 90s and update it for the 2020s.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like LA Knight feels much more like just a straight up ripoff, whereas Ricky feels more like he was inspired by, you know?
I gotta tell you, and I know this is just completely out of place because we're doing really well in this review right now, but ever since you called him a self-mark shitter in the Discord, I think about that once a day and I pop. So I want to thank you for doing
Once a day, every day, really?
Yeah, yeah, because you put it so perfectly, which for the record, I'd expect nothing less from your fucking face. But like you calling him out so viscerally and so accurately, I think about it once a day and I'm like, I'm not him. And that's why everything's gonna be okay. So I want to thank you for your you've been doing such great service lately. I mean, watching this show, I mean, diagnosing LA Knight just completely accurately. I mean, God, he fucking sucks. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'd say it would be worse to be Jimmy Uso, but in this case, it's really not. Like, congratulations, Jimmy. You can sleep again.
It's kind of funny you bring up Jimmy Uso because LA Knight and Jimmy Uso are the exact two dudes who lost in that triple threat that Drew McIntyre won to get into the chamber.
Now, Ashton, I was just starting to calm down the boner. You didn't need to flare it up again, but I do appreciate it. Uh, yeah, look, again, I like Ricky. I think he could have a very interesting NXT run. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I think why I'm open to this is I do look at some NXT guys. Excuse me. Let me run that back. I look at some AEW guys, and at the very least, I think even if they wouldn't work well in the main roster, I'd see them working well on NXT. Like for example, Hobbs, right? I really like Hobbs. I think Hobbs is a great look. I saw his match with Moxley. I thought he came off well in that. I'm like, man, in NXT, maybe he'd be like a second coming of Big E potentially, kind of get that kind of crowd momentum behind him, whatever. Ricky Starks, I definitely think is better suited for the WWE style anyway. So I definitely think he's going to get a lot more mileage in that company.
Dude, I
Um,
wish that I wish that both companies weren't so billionaire minded where they're like, but if I have less, that means that you have more. And I can't not hoard all of these people because if they aren't all working for me, that means that they can make other people money. And no.
God, we're ruled by psychopaths.
But
Psychopaths
no,
are
but that's
everywhere.
what I'm saying though is like I wish that that wasn't so prominent between the top two companies because there are a lot of people in both companies that I think would work a lot better in the other company. And it's not just like
Yes.
I want the people that I don't like in WWE to work over in AEW. Because like Chad Gable would be a world champion in AEW, and I fucking love Chad Gable.
Yes.
And like an example of someone I don't like in WWE that I think would also be pushed huge in AEW, like maybe not, maybe even world champion in AEW, is Ilya Dragunov. I think Ilya Dragunov is somebody that Tony Khan would cream his fucking pants over.
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like
He'd
there
be
are
all about it.
guys, yeah, like there are guys in WWE who are probably never going to reach the heights that they want to reach.
Yeah.
Who would reach those heights if they were in AEW? But then flip side, it works both ways because in AEW there are both I think men and women, and I think that applies both ways because I think like a Zoe Stark is someone in WWE that could do really fucking well in AEW because she is like super fucking athletic and really solid in the ring, and she has a unique look, and I think that AEW would do really well with someone like her. Like I could see her putting on real bangers with like Mercedes for the TBS title and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, I don't know if she's ever going to hold a singles title in her entire career. And if she does, it's probably one of the new mid card titles that they just invented out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then like you again, like you look at the other side of the coin, and I'm looking at like you mentioned Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs could be a WrestleMania main eventer, but Tony Khan doesn't like big strong men. He likes men who are like him, who are like little scrawny boys.
Yeah.
That's why Darby Allen is his favorite pet project.
Yes. Oh God. Oh God. Darby Allen. Um. So yeah, I think Starks and the main event were all I really want to talk about from NXT. So let's shift gears to Chamber and to the two main shows, Raw and SmackDown. Um,
I'd like to throw one more name out there, please.
oh, of course. Absolutely, sir.
Remember Nick Camarado?
No,
All right.
it's
So
not. Yeah.
Nick Camarado is another guy. He's 33 years old right now. But he's another guy who is in AEW that the AEW fans don't like, that Tony Khan has shown zero real interest in doing anything with, that I legitimately think could be a main eventer in WWE.
Yeah, okay.
His last match was a loss to Lee Johnson on Ring of Honor Honor Club back in August.
Huh, okay.
And he is 6'3", 275,
Okay.
and he's got like a similar look to almost like a Lars Sullivan.
Huh, okay.
I'm gonna post a picture. Yeah, Abel knows. Abel posted big caveman guy in the yeah. I posted a link in chat. Are you in chat, John?
I just clicked the link, yeah. I mean, he's a burly, hairy son of a bitch, that's for sure.
I'm saying I think that's a guy that the WWE could use. He
Yeah.
could be a main eventer in WWE, and I don't think like he's not like Obafemi young, but he's young
Right.
enough, right?
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That I think he could be like a main eventer in WWE. But this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, though. Is like if these companies were more willing to like trim the fat, and I'm talking like the actual fat, not like the talented people that they just don't have creative for, like B Priestley. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
I think that they would both be able to improve their own rosters by getting rid of the people that they aren't ever really going to use well, and by doing that, they would then be able to sign people that they would use well from the other company.
Right.
And
Okay,
and
yeah.
and Ricky Starks, I think, is a really really good example of someone who was always going to do better in WWE than he would have in AEW.
Yeah, I do have to agree.
Because I
Yeah.
think he's a guy who's very much like personality first, wrestling second, and that's a very WWE centric mindset.
I completely agree with you there. In fact, I'm curious, like, how he'll develop as a promo in WWE where that does get emphasized.
Yeah,
Again, I like Ricky, man. I'm actually very curious how he'll do. I see him at the very least being a North American champion right now. Maybe my assessment of him will change as I get more exposed to him on NXT. So I am very curious to see how that all shakes out.
yeah.
Um, so let me just ask because I want to do this more properly. Before we switch gears from obviously we've been done with Vengeance Day, but really just NXT in general as a brand. Is there anything else you want to talk about from either of these shows before I transition to Raw and SmackDown to really focus on Chamber and the Chamber build?
So when you say from either of these shows, is that either?
Just Vengeance Day and NXT this week,
Oh,
leading up to
okay.
Vengeance Day.
I mean, I'm gonna just say no, and we can just move on.
Okay. So to begin with Raw, and I really don't want to do a line by line recap because I know it's been eating up a lot of time for us lately. So I'm going to try and just summarize in broad strokes. Jey Uso picked Gunther to face at WrestleMania after
Yes,
Gunther doesn't attack.
yes.
We knew this was coming.
It was cool
Uh,
though. I love the way they did it because Jay. This is like the third show in a row. Because last week, I'm pretty sure Jay opened both Raw and SmackDown, and he opened Raw this week. And all three of those times, he was just eating his ass off, and the crowd, when the music stopped, the crowd did one more time, and he was doing he did like an encore of the Yeet session, right? But this week,
yeah.
Gunther literally swept his leg off to knock him down off the table and attacked him, like you said.
Yes. Yes. And then Jay, I love how Jay even does this. Like, dude, he's really figured it out. And I really hope he wins the title at Mania because he even says, I don't know if I should be doing this. I love that. I love that he's not like, yo, you're not going to disrespect me or trying to come off as like a badass
He's not
babyface.
trying to be a tough guy.
Exactly. Like he allowed himself to be vulnerable, and that's so
Yes.
honest because if I was a babyface in his shoes, I would want to prove myself against Gunther, but I would still be honest with myself and say it's fucking Gunther.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be a fun night. And yeah, I choose you at WrestleMania, and then Jay gets a little bit of a lick back, diving on Gunther and everything. I thought it was a really well done segment. It's just again, I'm breezing past it because we knew this was the matchup. I think the build of their story has been great. I have to say too, this is how you make Gunther seem vulnerable. By the way, I hated how they built the Priest feud because of the racism and the classism. This, though, you can tell he fears Jey Uso because he knows he's getting better each time they get in the ring together. And sooner or later, he's going to close that gap. But you don't have Gunther say it. You show, not tell. And I love how they're doing this. So
Yeah.
if fucking MJF and Jeff Jarrett, and now apparently I might have to go back and watch Vengeance Day so I can earn putting this in my awards too. If Trick and fucking Eddie and Ethan and Javon, which I've especially hated, are all really bad feuds, Jay and Gunther's kind of running away right now with my feud of the year because I've really just been enjoying how they've told this story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I also
um,
love that it's like Gunther wouldn't have done this if he wasn't at least somewhat afraid of Jay.
exactly, exactly. And again, but you don't have him say like, "Oh, I'm scared" or whatever, or doing like
No.
over the top stuff.
You
It's
have
just
him
very
try to
straightforward.
injure Jay and try to prevent him from making it to Mania at all.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so we get a bunch of women's developments here. Big story here, though, is that at Chamber, not talking about the women's Chamber, we'll get to that a bit later, but we know we're getting Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley.
Yes.
Um,
1-on-1 for the championship.
I know, like Io's your fucking girl. I love both women. I think Rhea is one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet right now, as is Io, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
This screamed Mania to me. It's bittersweet to me that we're getting this at Chamber. How do you feel about it?
You know what? Part of me legitimately hopes, and an even smaller part of me even thinks a little bit that maybe Io will actually win here to force a triple threat: Io, Rhea, and the Chamber winner.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
That's
I
like I said, a part of me wants it, and an even smaller part of me thinks it'll actually happen. But if it would happen, I would be very hyped for it.
what's interesting is and I don't want to like get too lost in this discussion now because I'm liking our pace, but I feel like Triple H as a booker has a very old school mentality about the big shows where he likes to keep it 1-to-1, one champion, one contender kind of deal, and especially at Mania. But if he would do a triple threat with the women, with how hot women's wrestling is, you could get away with it with how talented. Because if you're talking like, say hypothetically, the triple threat was Io, Rhea, Bianca. I mean, come on. Like that's feeding fucking
I was more
families. Like
thinking Io, Rhea, Liv.
that would also feed families. I'm
Yeah.
saying like you can't go wrong right now, right?
Right, just
So
because like
yeah,
it doesn't really matter who you throw in there. Io and Rhea are gonna feed families no matter what.
exactly, exactly.
Like, what is the worst case scenario for the third woman in that?
Yeah, exactly. Like you either get pinned, but you're still like either the top heel or just one of the top people, or
Well,
you
no,
don't
no,
eat the
I'm
pin and
more
yeah,
saying like which of the women that's in the chamber would be the worst possible third member of that match?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, we know Alexa qualified, right? Like,
So it would
so
probably
maybe
be
she.
her, but like she's also over like gangbusters.
That's true. That's again,
So
women's
even if
wrestling.
we
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily like the match as much if she was in it, it would still be loud as fuck in there.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
So I
Um.
I wouldn't be rooting for Alexa, but it would draw a hell of a lot of eyes to the Io and Rhea stuff, which is huge.
Yes. I only say that because, Io and Dakota did win this week against Liv and Raquel, but, we're not going to get bogged down in that.
Right.
Bailey beat Lyra to qualify for Chamber. Now, I got to just ask you a quick sidebar question, bro, because I
Okay.
know you and I usually think differently from the majority of wrestling fans. People are starting to get upset at WWE because they're like, I'm already not liking how Lyra's being booked as champion because I feel like she's gotten weaker since winning the title because you figure Ivy eliminated her from Women's Rumble. Then she loses the qualifier here. I think that's being a bit hyperbolic on their part, but I can
So,
also see why they're a bit worried.
okay, two things. Just
Yes.
addressing both of the main things that you just brought up.
Yes.
Getting eliminated by someone at the Royal Rumble does not mean jack shit. Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk at the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
He, I think Cena eliminated Paul, right?
He did. Cena
Yeah.
eliminated Paul. Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk in the Royal Rumble. I don't think anyone at all in WWE's fandom would tell you that Logan Paul is booked stronger than CM Punk or that he would beat him in a one-on-one match no matter what.
Yeah.
And Bailey is a fucking main event level performer. Like she is consistently in women's championship conversations. So why would anyone be upset that Lyra lost to her?
Yeah. I see, and I'm with you on that. Plus, I'm still waiting to see what Lyra's first big feud is for the title because I think that's another other people's gripe too is that they're waiting for her to defend the championship. But I'm like, you got to give that time because I'm pretty sure, like, I'm hoping Becky feuds with her given their history for the NXT championship or NXT Women's Championship, and I'm thinking Becky may want to take a stab at this. I hope because I think it'd be a really cool story. But yeah, I still think Lyra's wonderful. I thought her and Bailey had a really fun match here. Um, so yeah, I can't complain. And Bailey,
And
you
that's
know,
the thing too, is like they are mid-card champions, which means that because the women's rosters on both brands are so limited, inevitably the mid-card champions are going to come up against main event women, and they're not going to beat them.
exactly, yeah.
So when you get, Chelsea in a match where the winner is in a chamber match that gets you qualified to go up against a world champion, and she's facing someone who is a former world champion. Naomi's a former women's world champion in WWE, right?
Yes,
I
yes, she
thought
is.
multiple time even, I believe, on SmackDown at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
We can't be upset when the mid card champion loses to a former multiple time world champion. That's like upset. That like would be like being upset if Braun Breaker would be to lose to Sheamus. It's like, of course, it's possible that can happen. Yeah.
yeah. So Bailey did punch her ticket. I'm just still very happy. Hey, honestly, because you and I have been fans of pro wrestling for a long time. I'm at that age where I'm happy when people I like even get fucking TV time. Do I still want people to get pushes, and am I still the guy that'll advocate like this person is being pushed enough? Absolutely. If I wasn't, I doubt we'd have much of a podcast. But I'm really just kind of mellowed out when I'm like, hey, they're on TV, they're not in catering, and she's still got a title. Ask Lyra how she feels about her career right now. I'm guessing she'd be pretty positive. Um, we had Dom and AJ have an interaction. Pretty much AJ pushing back the Judgment Day, and I think AJ and Dom are gonna have a match next week. So that's gonna be interesting. And this all is happening while Dom and Finn continue to have tension.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I've said this in the
I mean,
Discord. I'm gonna. Yeah, what's up?
well, I was just gonna say it's Dom and AJ, or I'm sorry, not AJ. It's Dom and Finn, but really it's Finn and everyone else in the Judgment Day. Like everyone is beefing with Finn, basically.
Yeah,
Finn is
yeah.
being aggro towards everyone and like confrontational with everyone, even
If you're
Carlito.
like yeah, if you're like me and you're a fan of Finn, you're not about to have a good time right now, and I'll tell you why. Because for one thing, Ashton's right. That's just the most succinct pathway. Is what he just said is correct. He has a completely correct understanding of events recently. And secondly, if you look at Finn's history when he beefs with people, again, recent history, not good.
No.
Lost to Edge at Mania, lost to Priest in a street fight on Raw, kind of end that whole feud. And I swear, and we've been talking about this in the Discord. If this dude loses to Dominic fucking Mysterio, I think it was Foster that said, if Finn loses to Dom, he might cry. Like he might just be in that ring and he might have a good cry.
just,
And
just fucking leave your boots in the middle there, man. Just walk out. It's over.
yeah,
It's
like
over.
trade in your house for a bathtub because you're perpetually washed. I mean, goddamn. I don't know what to say to you after that, Finn. And I love fucking Finn Balor. I feel like more than anybody in our little community, I'm like, oh well, Finn is world champion again. Wouldn't be that bad because he's a great fucking worker. And I think honestly, he's low key underrated on the mic. I said it. So he's
Dude,
just it's not a good time for Finn. It's
I
yeah.
miss feeling that way, but unfortunately, the demon dick causing the top rope to break ruined that for me.
You know, you know what? I don't I don't blame you, and I wish I could love your face through this, but I just think that's just gonna be like a gap, a very
Yeah.
minute gap between because like
I,
I'm still here, and I realize the demon dick that wasn't Finn's fault. That was people that was like, wait a minute, we're really booking Roman Reigns really, really, really strong. But also Finn's looking kind of badass. So how do we massage the situation? And they did it in the worst possible fucking way. Um,
bro, they
so
played his music
I
during the match.
it was so badass until it wasn't.
Oh, I I don't know if I can ever like Vince is the worst. He's fucking awful. He's a horrible human being. But if you could somehow manage to wipe all that away, I still don't think I could ever forgive him for what he did to Finn there.
Uh, God, you're such a piece of shit, Vince. God, oxygen is wasted on you.
It's so true. I also just want to add, I don't know if this is a real rumor or if this is just some bullshit that my mom read on some completely non-credible dirt sheets, but she has been telling me a lot lately that she thinks that Malachi, now soon to be known as Alistair Black again, might become the new leader of the Judgment Day. So that might be, maybe Finn won't lose to Dominic. Maybe Finn will lose to the new leader of the Judgment Day who takes his place in Alistair Black. Maybe.
I hear you, and that's so sexy, but what if it's both? Like, what if it's both? I'm
Oh no.
so sorry. I'm really
Oh
not trying
god.
to be anything. I feel like I'm asking fair
Well,
questions. I
we
just,
don't know when McDougalberry is going to come back, and so maybe they will have Finn hit rock bottom and have him lose to everyone in the Judgment Day, including Dom, and then McDougalberry will come back and we'll get a babyface tag team run out of them because McDougalberry will bring Finn up out of the gutter.
yeah, and I feel like McDougalberry will like turn on Finn after losing it out because what other faction's gonna accept his head shape? He's like, wait, I'm included here. Like,
Bro,
I can't leave them.
why would any faction, not including Finn Balor, accept him for his head shape?
God, that was such a powerful retort. I don't know.
Dude,
I don't know.
If Finn's not in the Judgment Day, JD's not welcome back in the Judgment Day. End of story.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, like if they kick Finn out, they kick JD out at the same time.
Yeah, God. So then do we like no, it's like this attack them and they're all black.
Low key, if the Judgment Day becomes Alistair Black, Dominic Mysterio, Carlito, Liv, and Raquel, I hate Raquel so much though.
You know what though? I hope Black comes back to WWE because I've always saw a main eventer in that fucking dude.
I know, dude.
Like, I I'm not gonna get my hopes up. I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but
They're
if he
gonna bring
comes
him
back,
back, and they're gonna have him team up with Karrion Cross because they both do spooky shit.
and let me say this just to get any potential heat I have coming my way out of the way early. Jay Uso, I fucking love you. Go back and watch the fucking reaction I had to him winning the fucking Rumble. I don't need to
Yeah,
prove myself. Aleister Black should beat Jay for the title. Like, if Aleister Black's coming back, I would fucking love that feud. I'm sorry. Again, I'll take
dude.
any fucking heat,
This is.
but
I feel like I'm getting deja vu because when Black was in the company, how many fucking times were we like, "Oh yeah, this reign is the perfect one for Alistair to end at SummerSlam."
listen, I don't learn anything on here. Okay?
Oh
You know,
no.
I really need you people to understand. All I have going for me is that I'm moderately handsome, and even that's a bit of a stretch. I don't learn anything on here. Okay, if you dangle a carrot in front of my face, call me Charlie Brown and that carrot the football, because I will go for it every goddamn time. And does it ever go my way? No, but this time it might be different. I'm pretty much the Tobias where it's like, no, people fool themselves in thinking that they're different, but maybe it might just work for us. That's me. Out the ass. So yeah, let's do Alistair J for the title and
At
just have
SummerSlam,
Alistair
are we
go.
gonna do it at SummerSlam?
Absolutely, bud. Let's just fully fucking commit.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. God, God, your face is so good for me. We had
Alistair is gonna show up on SmackDown and just like casually like feud and maybe not even win the feud against Nakamura.
yes. Yeah, oh God. Jesus Christ. Uh, we had a Seth interview interrupted by Finn because we know their chamber match is going to be actually this Monday coming up. American Made. We're in a tag team title match against War Raiders. War Raiders retained by DQ. American Made laid them out after the match and held up the titles. CM Punk cut a promo that was interrupted by Logan Paul. I'm actually going to take a breath here just
Good.
to ask
I'm
you.
glad you're taking a breath because I need to address some comments.
Okay.
Paul William Gregory said, "You are more than moderately handsome, John. Don't ever say anything different, or I'll hurt you in ways you couldn't even imagine."
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, all right. Understood, Superior Paul.
And then Abel said, "Moderately, huge undersell, Paul."
Superior Paul in all caps, hurting you. God damn it. Yes.
And then
Yes.
Alex said, John feeling hope. Am I the problem? No, it's the wrestling that's the problem.
I mean, low key, is that a wrong interpretation of events, though?
I
You're
mean,
pushing Eddie Thorpe.
if you're trying to fantasy book the optimal, correct, most perfect possible outcome, no. But if you're trying to predict, then obviously yes.
Okay, see, I agree with you on that. Just in my defense, and then there's really even a defense because you are agreeing with me. You're just trying to keep me realistic. I'm not pushing Eddie Thorpe. Okay, so like I
Exactly.
feel like
Exactly. But but we have this phrase in fantasy football circles, we shouldn't coach our picks. Just because you think and I and we all as a general consensus think that Eddie Thorpe fucking sucks doesn't mean that we should be predicting anyone other than Eddie Thorpe to challenge Obafemi for the world title at Stand and Deliver. He did just beat Trick Williams tonight.
yeah. So here's the interesting thing about me is I understand completely in this situation that I'm not being attacked, but something about this situation makes me want to turn up and escalate. So instead, I am going to swallow it because I'm slowly becoming more cognizant, and we're going to move on to other things. So okay, that was a hard swallow there. Tasted a little like glass. Now we have got CM Punk
You
and
deserve a
Logan
round
Paul.
of applause. I'm so proud of
I'm proud of me
you.
too, but God, I hate that it's so fucking hard. Um, do we think, just asking you sincerely now,
Mm.
because I will say, much like the Rumble, men's chamber's a bit up in the air for me. I told you last night during
Oh, I
Rocket
think the
League,
men's chamber comes down to two possible options.
and I essentially agree with you. Are your options are the same as mine? Because mine are Punk and Cena. I'll tell you that right
Exactly.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then though you have Logan Paul interrupting, and I'm like, you wouldn't fucking do Logan Paul versus Punk at Mania. No fucking
No,
way.
you know what, dude? I low key, it's funny you say that because I think that whichever one of those guys between the two of them doesn't win the chamber is going to be Logan's opponent at Mania. It's either going to be Cody Cena and Logan Punk or Cody Punk and Logan Cena.
God, you have no idea how much it kills me inside that I want to copy paste your iconic LA Knight insult to Logan and call him a self-marked shitter. But the thing is, he has the athleticism to make his shit look good. Like, there's no stick up that ass. There's something up there, but it's not a stick.
Yeah,
Like, God
snake
damn
oil.
it. Then what was it?
Snake oil.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And I'm seeing
Maybe
him out
some
there with
fucking lead too.
God, and I'm seeing these two in the ring together, and because I'm old and definitely very jaded, combined with just the right amount of mental illness, I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, Punk is so old." And I agree with that pic that Sean posted in the Discord where somebody said, "Nah, he looks like he drinks and smokes," because he does. And then I'm looking at
Wait,
Logan,
who's this?
CM Punk, because somebody posted a
Oh,
picture of their
yeah,
bod that Sean shared in the Discord,
I
and
saw that. Where he's standing pointing at the WrestleMania logo, right?
yeah,
Oh God, I feel like I had a commentary for that picture, but I don't remember what I said about it.
yeah, like Jesus Christ. And then I look at Logan Paul and I'm like, God, if capitalism had a fucking face, right? Like clearly it should be and is Elon Musk, which is already really reptilian. But I think Logan Paul is up there. I just look at him and I see the very worst reality and excesses that we're all like laboring under. And God, I hate them both. And you know that meteor that everybody keeps talking about that has like a 2.3% chance of hitting Earth? Could it hit the exact spot where these two are in the ring together? This is my thought process. So clearly, I don't get out enough. But yeah, they have a promo exchange. And this is before Ray and Logan Paul's matchup. And the only thing I have to say about this, because again, I want to move at a brisker pace because no more line by line readings. I hate to admit it. I fucking hate to admit it. But that pulverizer DDT finish, I popped. I think it looks cool. I liked it. So just so you guys know that I can be fair and balanced, even with people that I utterly fucking loathe, it is a cool finisher. And he beats Ray. And obviously he's going to Chamber. And kudos to Ray. I know I dog on him a lot, but that dude will put anybody over. That dude can't be told shit. He knows what his fucking legacy is. And I honestly respect him for that. So yeah, Logan advances. That was the main event of Raw. God, I hope we don't do Punk Logan at WrestleMania. But then again, we don't have to, because I'm pretty sure we would want to just skip that fucking match, because I don't really need to see Punk try and be an athlete for the 50th time and injure himself. I'm, hard
Oh
pass.
God. See, this is where I'm coming from. As much as the Cody Cena story would definitely be compelling, I really don't want Cena and Cody doing their thing to cause me to have to sit through a CM Punk versus Logan Paul match because, like you said, CM Punk is arrogant enough that he would try to do some of the shit that Logan Paul does, and I feel like he'd just get injured again, like you just said. And I like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna complain about not having to see CM Punk on my TV for a few more months, but like, I just don't want him to have any more fucking material to bitch about.
Yeah, like if he tries to match the athleticism of Logan Paul, he's going to be changing the relationship status with his quad to it's complicated, to maybe even just it's straight up torn apart. It's wanting to see other people. No, I don't need to see that, Punkerton. Simmer the fuck down. Um, so we go from that to SmackDown, and I'll tell you what, with this opening promo segment, there's a lot of Chad energy. There's also Cody, and that's sad. But there's Drew, obviously making points, talking sense, reminding Cody that he tried to be supportive, and then Cody just lashed out because that's just what Cody does. He really isn't introspective at all. But the one thing we need to talk about in this segment, Jacob fucking Fatu. Okay. I
Did you see what I said about Jacob on the Discord?
No, I didn't. I almost wish I'd be able to go and scroll up and see it. Was this in the live
No,
wrestling
all I said
discussion?
was Jacob Fatu promos are the most compelling thing on SmackDown.
Well, okay. So first of all, I have to give you credit because you have been talking about how over this guy is, and you've been reporting it back to me, with the Strowman feud and everything else. This is the first time because I watched this segment, right? That I got to see it for myself. And here are just kind of my internal notes, having experienced it firsthand now, as opposed to secondhand from you. First of all, I love that compared to Cody and even Drew, and I love Drew to death, and this is not a diss. I love how everyman he feels when he comes out. And like I do mean that in a good way because he's got like the fucking hoodie and like the fucking hat, and it's like, yeah, it's fucking winter. I relate to that. That dude's layered the fuck up, but he's still got that aura, despite the fact that he's not dressing in these like three-piece suits or whatever, not trying to look too formal like Cody is. And like, yeah, he really does walk that line. Like this dude's a badass, but he's got like almost like that 8 Mile vibe, that Eminem film. That's the kind of vibe I
Yeah,
got when he walked out of this. Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I feel you.
yeah, it's fucking 8 Mile. And then the Jacob chants start immediately. I have to wonder if this company knew that he would get this over this quickly because I wouldn't have. That is incredible to me, to the point where, and I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, and because I was checked out this week. Ashton informed me during our gaming session during Rocket League that Jacob did not win his chamber qualifier. I think that's a missed opportunity, but in a way, in hindsight, I kind of get it because I feel like it would be a very unenviable position if you had it come down to Jacob and Cena, and they may not have even wanted that. But then you have the problem of if Jacob got eliminated too early, like a Brian from the Rumble situation, you probably would have gotten that match fucking booed. So
Part of me really thinks that Jacob has a genuinely real chance of winning the Royal Rumble next year. Like,
yes,
genuinely real chance. And at that point, I almost have to wonder if the Elimination Chamber, which is a match that I think a lot of people would fucking love to see Jacob in, is going to elude him for a while, actually. Like, we might not see Jacob in an Elimination Chamber till 2027, maybe even 2028. And it'll be like, this guy's been around. By the time he's actually in one for the first time, people are going to be like, wait, he's never been in a chamber before? This is going to be insane.
the only one that when I heard he was in a qualifier, both A, assumed that he was going to win it, and B, was already thinking about that moonsault off a pod. Because,
Dude, he did one of the sickest looking swantons I have ever fucking seen in this match.
dude, he's a beast, man.
He's
Like,
he's got to be back to his like standard like 280 pounds ish weight that he was in MLW before coming to WWE at this point. And he doesn't fucking move like it. He still moves like he's down like where he was when he first got to WWE, like 240 ish, if I had to guess.
yeah,
He's fucking incredible, man. He is unbelievable.
yeah, dude. I'm a fan of this dude too when I say this, but I just need to be real. Braun needs to start stepping it up a bit to me because
Which Braun are
we're
you talking about?
Braun
Braun
Breaker,
Strowman or Braun Breaker?
Braun
Okay,
Breaker,
yeah.
because I still see those two as a potential WrestleMania main event,
I think that they
but
both see that as well. I think Braun actually did an interview recently where he said that he thinks that Ian Jacob are a WrestleMania match.
oh, dude, 1000%. But I will say, I've already been more impressed with Jacob than I have been with Braun. And I have considerably more exposure to Braun, but Jacob is closing that gap quickly, my dude. This man is a fucking beast, and not just in the ring. I love his promo style. He said, "All gas, no brakes. I'm gonna dog walk their ass." That might be a quote of the year for me, actually. Come to think of it, because that popped the crowd nice, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like again, I know, like it's funny because A Miles Eminem, and he's as white as Wonder Bread, but he raps fucking hard, or at least he used to. I really don't like his more recent stuff. Fucking transphobic ass, but yeah, like he just has that grittiness to him to me. And you have Cody coming out here and enunciating all slowly, what do you want to talk about? And I love Drew as a promo. I think Drew's very charismatic and funny, but Jacob's so distinctive from the both of them. And I love that. Like, you wouldn't get any of these guys confused on a promo level because they all have a different promo style. Cody, I hate his promos. I love Drew's promos, but Jacob might have been my favorite promo in there because he's just very no nonsense. Like, hey, this is me getting right to the fucking point. Love that. Then Solo showed up, and then Cody like was gonna confront him. Jacob stopped him, and he's like, "Nah, Cody, I'm gonna be the one to talk. This is family business." And then Cody thought he was a badass. He thought he ate because he was like, "Oh, you get the first word, but I'll definitely be getting the last." Ooh, my God, watch out, everybody. Homelander's angry. Fuck you. Eat my fucking ass. So that was that segment. Um, moving on from that. And yeah, so we know that Trish is at the show tonight. That ties into stuff later. Didn't you say at Chamber we're going to be doing Trish and Tiffany versus Nia and Candice?
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, we've already established that. We don't need to go too deep into that. Naomi
Well, I
beat
mean, to be
Chelsea.
fair, I said that to you behind the scenes, not live.
True. I just want to say that for everybody. So yes, Chamber, because tonight, or excuse me, on Friday, Tiffany had a match with Nia. Ended in a DQ because Candice interfered. Trish tried to run interference to protect Tiffany. That didn't go well. She got splashed by Nia. They left. Charlotte came out. Charlotte challenged Tiffany, so we know it's going to be Charlotte Tiffany at Mania, which is great. That's a skip for
Yes.
us. Going to be very easy for us.
Such
And
a
then
relief.
yeah, absolutely. And then at Chamber, as Ashton first told me when we were gaming, yeah, Tiffany and Trish versus Nia and Candice. Don't just want to get too deep into that for this actual review because we're making a good pace. Again, Naomi beat Chelsea to qualify, so Naomi's in the Chamber. Should be a lot of fun. Naomi really thrives in these matches, so that's really cool. And I think Bianca's also in it, so that should be a lot of fun as well. Um, Sammy had a message for Kevin, pretty much more or less said, Kevin, me and you are going to go again. I mean, they're destined to do this forever. So there you go. Zayn he really sold it. He said he hasn't felt great. I can even see in the video, they had him kind of have like this pale look to him. Like, yeah, Kevin really fucked him up. So yeah, it should be interesting to see them do it again. I don't know. I really, really loved Owens' work, but of course it happened during the Cody Rhodes era. So that was only going to go so far. Um, Guns beat Garza, Los Garza. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
fucking LA Knight beat the Miz, so he's the number one contender for the US title. Good. The mid card's where that shitter belongs. In fact, he might even belong lower. I don't know.
Dude, it was so funny when LA Knight's music hit after Nakamura's promo because it was like he came out and like Super Blue was actually in the chat and he popped and I was like, oh yeah, here comes LA Knight trying to re-achieve his ceiling again.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
He's never winning a world title, Super Blue. Get used to it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how it should be. Yeah.
Oh,
But Carmelo beats R-Truth. Still has dweeb energy to me. If these are the wins that you're proud of, I don't know. Um, Street Profits, I think we're looking for a fight. They got mixed up with like Pretty Deadly and stuff. So it really seems like it's going to
dude,
be a
Street
multi-person.
Profits had another fucking fire promo this week.
they got that dog in them right now, man. I fucking love to see
They
that.
really do. They are cutting some of my favorite. Like I really I know I said that Jacob Fatu promos are the most compelling thing on SmackDown, but at the end of the day, they're not the only compelling promos on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Street Profits are up there. Street Profits are amazing right now. They are cutting fire promos.
Yes. It just seems like it's going to be a tag team schmoz, and I really don't want that because Street Profits are clearly doing better work than anybody else in this schmoz and should get like a proper title match at either Chamber or Mania. But you've got DIY involved because they're the champions, obviously. You've got the Guns that still feel like it's unfinished business, and you have Pretty Deadly that are they're actually still a part of the story, which I like Pretty Deadly. It's just the timing is bad because again, Street Profits are just so far above everybody else in my mind. They should be the priority. Um, Kevin Owens responds to Sammy. He tells him quite rightly, "You don't know what real pain is. What, you got dropped on your neck and suddenly you want to complain? I was emotionally betrayed, Sammy." So he says, "Look, if you want to do this again, couldn't think of a better place than Elimination Chamber." So I have to ask you, man, do you think it's going to be like an actual official match? Or do you think they're going to try and do some unsanctioned shit because they're kind of playing up that Sammy isn't cleared and Sammy got really fucked up in the pile driver?
They might. I mean, we just kind of had some unsanctioned shit in NXT between Ethan and Javon, so I don't know.
Yeah, I am curious how they're going to handle that. However they do handle it, though,
They do
I
seem
just
pretty
don't.
shameless about like repeating gimmicks between NXT and the main roster, so maybe they will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm curious how they'll handle it because this story could be interesting. I love Kevin as a heel. I do love him as a babyface too, as I've said time and again. But man, when he's aggrieved, it's just beautiful. And then yeah, the women main evented. We already kind of talked about all that. So now I just want to ask that we wrap that up. Did you do any extracurriculars this week?
I didn't watch anything extracurricular this week, but I am vaguely aware of some pretty interesting results from AEW this week.
If you want to go through them, man, I think we're making great time. So please go ahead.
Have you been at all aware of the big important thing that's going to be happening, or that's actually maybe even happening right now in AEW?
No, I'm gonna say no.
Grand Slam Australia.
Yeah, I did not know about that. No,
That's how I know that your finger is totally off the pulse, and I love that for you.
I love it for me too, bud.
So yeah, they have been building to this big Grand Slam Australia show for feels like quite a while now. Both women's championships were on the line
Okay.
against Australians.
Okay.
Tony Storm versus Mariah May main event of the show,
Right.
but Mercedes Moné also defended the TBS title against an Australian. And I wanted to sort of, inform you, maybe get some thoughts from you about this one.
Yeah.
Mercedes defended the TBS title on this big Grand Slam show against Harley Cameron.
Ew. That just seems like a real waste.
Dude, they have been building Harley Cameron, not like they're not trying to convince anybody that she's an amazing wrestler by any means, but they have been using her so much on TV. And Curtis, our good friend Curtis, who's in the Discord, who has been a longtime supporter, just loves her to the point that he has compared her to Chelsea Green because of like the pure like entertainment factor of like she's kind of a goofball and she does like character work really well and stuff like that. And so because he kind of sold it that way, it very much caught my interest. So I decided this past Saturday to check out her stuff. Thought it sucked. Then this past Wednesday, apparently she did another thing that I managed to peep and I thought it sucked. Thankfully, she lost. She did not beat Mercedes for the TBS title, but I just really want to like double and triple down that your initial Ew. As many people have been trying to convince me that this was actually a cool thing that AEW did because Harley is actually entertaining and good. No, absolutely not. John's initial instinct, as my initial instinct was, however many weeks or months ago it was that this was first teased, that people started, kind of catching on that this was probably going to be the case, uh, was also, oh, that sucks, was correct. This sucked.
Yeah.
The build sucked. The match, I don't even know. I haven't watched it, but I'm assuming it sucked because Harley Cameron isn't good at wrestling. Harley Cameron seems to me, and I think John, based on what very little you know about her, even just from her very small appearance in NXT that one time, seems to be far more concerned with getting famous than being good at wrestling.
Ah, okay. So she's looking at wrestling as like a springboard to bigger things.
That is definitely what it comes off like to me. She did this little concert thing last Saturday where she's singing songs and she's like, it's not like a Joe Hendry or an Elias where they're singing because it gets them heat or because it gets them over or because it really contributes to the wrestling. She was singing to show off how good her singing voice was. Like she's belting her songs, you know?
Um, I don't want to have like major boomer energy with what I'm about to say, but I'm becoming increasingly concerned by an emerging trend we might be seeing in the business because not just like I Show Speed getting a Rumble spot and Logan gets kind of a pass because of his athleticism, right? But like these influencers crossing over into pro wrestling, it's not just the influencers because, and I'm not trying to throw her under the bus here. I don't want this to be a roast session, but I did read the reports that the entertainment industry was like surprised by Alexa Bliss's reaction at Rumble and that there might be more people in the entertainment industry watching pro wrestling to see more crossover opportunities. That concerns me
Yeah.
because, like, I do think you should have a backup plan, and I absolutely encourage people to branch out.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should get a business, or I don't think you should get into a business like this
No.
unless you have real genuine dedication
Well, see,
to
and
it.
that's the thing is like backup plans are nice and all, but pro wrestling is not something that you can half ass.
No, it's not. Because people, and I think even casual fans to a degree, will know you're half-assing it very quickly. Like you can't get away with that to me.
Yeah. And
Um,
and and I like I basically went through and I was like, okay, well, she's pretty new to this. How like how much slack does she deserve? Like how flexible should I be? How much credit, how much sort of like benefit of the doubt should I be giving her? And I think the thing that stood out the most to me is that
yeah.
Harley Cameron, has wrestled more matches going into this show, going into this month even, than Mariah May had going into Stardom.
Ooh.
Boom. Right fucking there. That's all you need to know. And the main reason that I bring that up is because it's like, okay, well, we've got like a hot girl gimmick and neither one of them are like freaky athletic by any means. Mariah is an athletic girl, but she's not like a former pro athlete or like a college athlete or anything like that. So I think that like it's like this is like the most apples to apples comparison I could find. And Jesus fucking Christ, the absolute chasm between their actual ability in the ring is unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah. I just, again, I really worry about because if you're right that she is using wrestling as a springboard, I just worry that that's going to be normalized in the next generation or two of wrestlers. And
I
like,
mean,
I
dude,
already,
we do you remember the first time that we ever saw Harley Cameron in NXT?
I think I blacked it out, man, to be
So
honest.
okay, so I don't necessarily remember really much about her specifically. I remember our reactions to it. And the main thing that I remember is I was confused because I had never heard of her before. So I looked her up on socials and I looked up her information and stuff. And because like we were kind of gaslit by NXT. Like, oh, here's Harley Cameron. She's this global music artist and stuff. And they made like a big deal out of it. Like
Right,
she's
yeah.
like she's fucking Sexy Red or something. Like she's fucking Doja Cat or some shit. Like everyone knows who she is. And she was like, her followers were like in the thousands. Like she was followed by less than a considerable chunk of the roster members of NXT, right? At the
Yeah.
time. And like, that was then. That was years ago. That was like pandemic era, even, I want to say.
I do remember that now. I do remember the gaslit part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here we are, however many years later, and she is still doing this same shit where she is like, I'm a wrestler, but I'm gonna have a live concert in the middle of the ring where I fucking belt out these songs and show off my vocal range and hoping to get noticed by a talent agency. Or like this week, she had like a fucking rap segment on Dynamite where she was rapping at Mercedes, and then she transitioned into like this really, like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna be vulnerable to the camera, trying to show off her acting chops. Do you remember in that fucking Tough Enough season when Bucky Beaver asked Kevin Dunn, said about John Morrison, I think he wants to flip and he wants to act and he wants to but he doesn't want to be in our business. He just wants to do all this other stuff.
I think I remember.
That's literally Harley Cameron, but actually, because the difference is John Morrison actually ended up being super dedicated to pro wrestling and he got broken in the right way. And like, he was always like here for the right fucking reasons. Harley Cameron, I think, is everything that Kevin Dunn accused John Morrison of being.
That's really bad. And in fact, just a side note, you mentioning Sexy Red, we saw that report because it was posted in the wrestling news channel of our Discord that they wanted Sexy Red to wrestle on NXT, but she just couldn't find the time to train. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, man, I don't like where things are going. Like, because here's the problem. I think there are going to be people on the Harley Cameron side that look at an Alexa Bliss and want to be the next Alexa Bliss in that way, or Nikki Bella, or just take your pick, right? And then I think there are other people that look at a Logan Paul and really even more so like a Bad Bunny, who I'm not dissing him either. I enjoyed the stuff that he did, but they're probably thinking, yeah, I can do that. No, the
dude.
fuck you can't.
But here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. First off, Bad Bunny, I think, did it the right way because
Yes,
he didn't show up expecting to be given like main event level treatment. He showed up for one show in his hometown, had a fucking fantastic match with Priest that I'm sure was plenty rehearsed ahead of time,
yes,
was over
yes,
like gangbusters, paid so much respect to everyone and everything in the business,
yes,
brought a fuck ton of eyes to the business rather than the other way around where the business is bringing eyes to Harley Cameron,
yes,
and then went back to doing his thing because he is a professional. He has his own thing. He is way more famous than anyone in pro wrestling probably has ever been. And he was
yeah,
doing this as like a privilege. He was doing this as like a
yes,
privilege because he is a wrestling fan and he loves wrestling. And, you know, he was given the privilege, like, yeah, sure, we'll let you do this, but you got to do it the right way. You got to get the right training in. And he put his body through hell in order to be able to do it the right way. And he did a great job, right? And I think he
yes.
was even in a Royal Rumble at one point too, and that
He
was fun
was.
too.
Yes,
And even to a degree, I think Logan Paul, I think to a degree, is even doing it more the right way. But
yes,
like Harley Cameron, you could maybe to a degree say she's doing it somewhat the right way, but it just feels like she has completely different intentions. Because like with Logan Paul and with Bad Bunny, pro wrestling isn't their main job. Pro wrestling isn't the thing that made them famous. They were way more famous again than any pro wrestler probably ever has been before they got here. So we know
right.
damn well that they aren't using the pro wrestling business. If anything, it's the other way around. If anything, pro wrestling is using them to bring more eyes to the product, right?
Yeah,
Harley
yeah,
Cameron, it is the exact opposite. Harley Cameron, it feels very much like she is here not to put in the work, not to become a good wrestler. She is here to be just good enough to be passable, to get TV time, to show off all of her other skills, to catapult into a job somewhere else that is, you know, more socially acceptable or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's literally from day one. Because literally the first time we ever saw her, she was singing some random song that we've never heard of before on an episode of NXT when she had, four figures worth of like IG followers, right?
Yeah.
And since then, she's gotten significantly more famous, I would assume, because
You would think.
she's I'm pretty sure she's been in um TNA. I know that she's been now in AEW. Yeah, she's up to six figures. She's got 272,000 followers on
Right.
Insta now. And when we first saw her on NXT, it was like I said, it was literally four figures. She was under 10K.
Yeah.
So she is literally riding the pro wrestling industry to fame.
Yes.
And
1000%.
she's doing it without really putting effort into getting good at the pro wrestling part of pro wrestling, which you would think AEW fans of all people would be getting upset by, but they seem to be totally down, and that's really baffling to me.
Yeah, samesies. Samesies. All right. Anything else on AW you want to talk about before we transition here to the Q&A portion?
Oh no, yeah, Tony Storm won the Women's World Championship. Mariah May is no longer AEW Women's Champion.
Of course she isn't. Of course she isn't. Jesus Christ. Uh So yeah, I guess with that we can transition, and I only say that because I've wanted to keep just an eye on Super Blues. Two questions. So first, how do you feel about Goto winning the world title in New Japan, and how much credit does Yoshihashi get for being his tag partner? Super Blue, you're insane. Okay, somebody needs to say it. I don't know how you square that circle, my man. Yoshihashi doesn't deserve any fucking credit. The fuck are you talking about?
I mean,
Um,
I'll answer the question sincerely. How do you feel about Goto winning the world title in New Japan? Uh, Truthfully, I was upset about it when I saw it. I was upset and I was frustrated and I was confused. And there was a small part of me that was a little bit happy for him. But mostly I was all of the other things: baffled, confused, angry, upset, frustrated, because sometimes you just need a guy, or not even a guy. Sometimes it's okay to just be someone or to have someone on your roster that just never wins the big one. I mean, that can be a compelling character in and of itself. Jake the Snake Roberts, Kurt Hennig, there were guys that before WCW made it big that never won the big one. Roddy Piper, I don't think ever won the big one.
no, he didn't. No.
So like not everybody needs a fucking turn, and Goto was the perfect guy because it was like, he had so many shots and he never won it. And to put it on him when he's already like 45, I think, years old, maybe even 46, is just silly to me. It's goofy. It feels like way, 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 way too late. And the fact that he specifically cut Zack Sabre Jr.'s reign short also feels incredibly goofy to me. Like if you were gonna put the title on an old guy and have an older guy cut ZSJ's reign short, just fucking give it to Tanahashi again. Zack and Tanahashi have a lot of history, and Tanahashi, I would assume at least, is way more over than Goto is. And then you can have someone else get heel heat for beating Tana. But Goto just makes no sense to me. And then the second half of the question is, how much credit does Yoshihashi get for being his tag team partner? If anything, Yoshihashi gets negative credit for dragging him down to the tag division when he could have won the world title much sooner had he not lowered himself to tagging with such a shitter.
I think you answered that impeccably. He also asked how stunned we were about Electro Lopez's release. Not too stunned in hindsight, but I do think it was a missed opportunity for them. I
I was
liked Electro
very
Lopez.
surprised by her and B both getting released.
Yeah, I was Blair Davenport was the biggest surprise. Again, now B
Yeah.
Priestley, I should get used to calling her that again. But yeah, that really shocked me. Only because again, it wasn't that long ago. The reports came out. Oh, they're so excited about SmackDown going 3 hours because now they'll have more time for Blair. Yeah, could have fooled fucking
I
me.
mean, literally, there
Uh,
was a report that came out in January that said that there were plans for B to, or for Blair at the time to, there were plans for her when now that SmackDown was 3 hours that they were going to have things for her to do, and then she gets released because they didn't have anything for her to do. It's like, like, why is it that somebody can be bad at their jobs and that causes somebody else to lose their job. Like, why are the writers being bad at their jobs causing the wrestlers to lose their jobs? I don't understand how this works.
Yeah, I really nothing makes any sense, bro. And I'm right there with you on both fronts. So let's take a look at newer questions here.
I would also just like to
Casters,
add, by the way,
yes,
Super Blue said she's possibly worse than Anna Jay. I just, believe it or not, I want to come to Anna Jay's defense here. I know that I talk a lot of shit about some of AEW's like mid card women because I think Tony Khan likes to just kind of push the women that get a lot of attention from the Gooners online, like Anna Jay and Sky Blue and shit. But I, at least Anna Jay is actually here full time and putting in the work to the point that she did a fucking stardom run, for fuck's sakes. Like, she's clearly at least trying to get better at wrestling. I don't think you can say the same about Harley Cameron.
yeah, yeah. I'd actually, yeah, I'll co-sign that for sure. Caster Sales, do you think there's any chance that the person that is teaching Gable about the dark arts of Lucha Libre is in fact Aleister Black? I love both guys, but I think that is so tonally, and the word I would use is tonally, the wrong fucking way to use Aleister Black. So I'm gonna say unequivocally no.
Okay,
Because yeah,
Caster Sales. Can you explain to me, maybe John too, how exactly Aleister Black of all people would be able to teach anyone about the dark arts of lucha libre specifically?
maybe because he beat Andrade for the NXT championship.
That just means
Not
that he knows how to beat a luchador. It doesn't mean he knows anything about lucha libre.
I mean, I'm just saying if I was Caster Sales, that would probably be the only reasoning I could think of.
Not to
But
mention that was NXT canon, and like NXT canon and main roster canon is like very selectively connected. Like, it's not really a thing.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I'll be curious, like what he answers, but just to keep the this segment going, Castiel's followed it up with, "What do you think United States Championship and Intercontinental Championship matches at Mania will end up being?" For the record, do you mean the actual male titles or the women's titles or both? Because like,
I mean,
but
I'll go all the way and I'll answer all four of those questions. United
okay,
States Championship. I'm thinking Nakamura defends. Oh man, there was a point in time that I really wanted it to be Trick. You know what? I think it still fucking can be because Trick lost, and I think that there's a real chance that he can get called up, especially because like LA Knight and The Miz might be feuding now. I'm gonna say Trick Williams challenges Nakamura. I really still want Braun Sheamus to happen. I think Becky returns just in time to challenge Lyra, and I think Chelsea's opponent still might be Piper Niven.
3 out of the 4, I'll swap out Trick for Andrade. I think Andrade will get another shot and it'll
I
be at
love that
Mania.
though. That's great.
Yeah, so I'll copy paste with you, but I'll change the men's United States Championship match. So that's that. So any other questions, guys? Because yeah, Castor, the rationalization he offered was people on the internet been saying that Alistair is a dark luchador. So
What?
bull. Have you acknowledged your tribal chief today? Fuck yeah, I acknowledged Jacob Fatu today. God damn.
Bro, Solo Sikoa was so supportive of Jacob on Friday, and then because Solo accidentally thumbed Tamatonga's throat because Cody, being a bitch ass who avoided it and couldn't take it like a fucking man, got out of the way, caused Tama to get throat thumbed, and all Jacob saw was Solo attacking Tama. Jacob got all upset and he was ready to confront Tama or Solo, but then fucking Priest shoved Jacob into Solo. Solo
Yeah.
was so supportive of Jacob, and then now there's trouble in paradise.
I made Abel say wow again. I feel like I'm disappointing my son every week and I don't know how to feel about
You
it, but
know,
I just
Abel, we both love you dearly, but find better role models.
oh, that's not gonna go over well.
Roman Reigns is a piece of shit.
And Jimmy Uso sucks. I'm sorry, son. It just no. Super blue. What if Minoru Suzuki had beat ZSJ? Would that be the same as Goto winning? I think at this point, yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah, realistically, like, I love Suzuki dearly, but again, too late. Give it to him 6 years ago. Fuck.
you made Abel say wow again. Oh
I
man,
say wow every time Roman Reigns abuses a family member that doesn't deserve it.
that's God. I want to be me right now, but it's really important to support you in this moment. Yeah, your uncle's right, Abel. Roman Reigns is awful. Super Blue, how do you feel about Solo versus Jacob possibly at WrestleMania 41? I'm down as long as Jacob goes over. I have no problem with
Mm.
Solo, honestly, but like Jacob needs to win that match.
See, I disagree because if the match had to have a clean ending, I would agree, but I don't think it has to have a clean ending, and I just fully expect if that match happens for family members to help Solo win.
I see. So you disagree with me, but you still love my face.
Obviously.
Okay, then we have no problem. It's fine then. Uh, well, goddamn. Any other questions? I'm gonna send you hug stickers on Facebook, son. So log in so you could receive them properly.
He's not logged into Facebook?
Not that I can see.
What the fuck?
Now let's be gentle now. He's probably only using so many socials at one time.
Well,
There you go.
why?
I don't know. What did you guys think you were bonded because of the whole tab thing? I mean, I don't know. Then again, I have quite a few tabs open right now. I should probably close some of these.
I
Actually, I can.
have a tab open for each of my email, Facebook Messenger, YouTube, Blue Sky, Discord, and Reddit at literally all times.
No comment. Super Blue, have you acknowledged your real tribal chief? I swear to God, if this is some LA Knight bullshit, I already told you. I acknowledge Jacob Batu. He's fucking awesome. That is my tribal chief. Fuck
Yeah,
Jimmy
and
Uso. Fuck
trying to
Roman Reigns.
pretend that LA Knight's white ass is a tribal anything is cultural appropriation and racist.
Now we don't know if Super Blue is doing it. It's just I'm projecting onto him that he
And
did
I'm
it.
getting
So
ahead of it.
damn. Um, Abel. Okay. Abel said like the video if you have a lot of tabs open right now, but you don't want to discuss them. I already like the video, so I guess we can kind of pencil me in for that. Super Blue, who wins on Raw, Seth or Finn? I think Seth 1000%.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if Liv cost Finn.
Dude, they were supposed to be the secret couple. What the fuck happened, WWE? What are you doing?
It's Liv's secret way of flirting.
Costing him matches. You know what? I'm old and in the way. I don't understand how courtship works anymore.
When did you ever?
God, that's so true. I'm sorry.
You weren't supposed to get in on the burn. What the fuck?
I mean, when you're right, you're right. What am I supposed to tell you? All
Uh,
right. Any other questions?
how do we get our faces to be as perfect as your face?
First of all, that's not true. I'm not Kevin Owens, okay? Second of all, it is appreciated though. And third of all, I can feel that I'm starting to tilt, so people better start coming up with questions or I'm taking us home early. What the? Okay, I need you to enjoy that laugh and then never do it again. That was really creepy.
Have I
Wow.
ever creeped you out before? Is this a first?
This is the first time I've ever felt unsafe in your presence. And like real you, not Dream Ashton that real Ashton gets blamed for bullshit. Like, wow. Um, Super Blue. Uh Super Blue. How will Roxanne beat Raquel to get in the chamber? First of all, Super Blue, I actually do appreciate your confidence because I haven't been that confident yet. But
With pop rocks.
see, I was gonna say roll up of doom. I like your confidence. Everybody's more confident than me, and I love Roxanne. So I'm still gonna say roll up of doom though. And you're gonna say pop rock, so that's that.
I mean, what is a pop rocks if not a more offensively effective roll up of doom?
Would your face just stop being so fucking sexy with how it perceives things for 2 seconds? I am trying to focus, okay? Caster. God, we need to go home soon. I'm not gonna be able to take this. Caster Sales. If Rusev is back in WWE, do you think they put him and Dragunov together? Fuck yeah, the Soviet national anthem should be their theme song.
They need to get Putin's face on the Tron ASAP.
Yes. I mean, God, might as well make it explicit, right? Fuck. Oh, God, it would be so culturally in the moment.
And Tulsi
Okay.
Gabbard too. She needs to be on there too.
Yeah, gabbing all of our secrets to Russian intelligence.
And Jill Stein too.
This third place victory is gonna save the country. Okay, folks, I'm clearly tilting. I think I'm ready to pack it up, but we usually do the whole going once thing, so I will indulge you. Going once. Going twice.
What
I'm
the
trying. I'm
fuck?
trying. I'm trying.
Are you high,
I'm trying.
sir?
I'm trying to make intermittent mouth noises, and your popping is throwing off my rhythm.
Your rhythm is popping me.
Don't make me pull out the RFK voice. I will do it to everyone in this room.
Abel wants to know what Dream Me did that scared you.
Oh, it strangled the fuck out of me with intense focus and very intimate eye contact. Don't chuckle at that. It's scarring. Like the first day after that, because I didn't tell Asher right away, I was definitely side-eyeing him with that whole ADHD dying. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not some kind of an asset? Fuck, because he was very focused on the mission, and the mission was clearly crushing my windpipe. Which he succeeded at very well. And there's another wow from Abel. This is going great. Yeah, he strangled the fuck out of it. And then there was another dream where my dream sister said that she hates me and thinks I'm a piece of shit. So clearly, I have very debilitating low self-esteem issues that I am not going to address because I live in a capitalist shithole with very poor quality healthcare. Super Blue. So why would you think LA Knight would need a faction to take over when he's Super Blue? I need you to just propose to LA Knight and get it over with.
It's really cute that you think that even a faction would be enough for that shitter to take anything over.
Self-mark shitter. Anyway,
he had a faction too.
Oh yeah, didn't he with that whole like maximum
male models? Yeah, exactly. He's had a faction already.
Yeah, like the video if you love John and would never strangle him. Well, I know somebody in this room that can't like the video.
I literally already would have liked the video after the tabs comment if I could like my own videos, but unfortunately I am incapable of liking my own videos.
Wow, I'm sorry to have brought that up. Yeah, and then Super Blue admitting that he's insane. Well, I appreciate the girl at Super Blue, one day at a time. You know what? I was doing the count, but then
it's over. We're calling it right here.
Yeah, we're calling it right here because Mr. Popper's over here wouldn't let me do the segue properly. So on to our next segment: high spots and low shots. My low shot. God, I think my low shot really is just Trick Williams with him losing tonight at Vengeance Day to fucking Eddie Thorpius. His last name is Thorpe. Fuck. So yeah, it's a rough time for Trick. So, who is your low shot? Hello?
I'm thinking.
Okay, just want to make sure. I didn't know if our call disconnected.
See, this is why we make sounds, because it makes it clear that we understand the assignment and we're just working on it.
I didn't hear your hymn sound, so I apologize.
I wasn't.
Oh, that explains it. So
that's why I'm saying, if I would have been, you would have known that I was thinking.
I see.
Oh. For the first time in a really, really long time, I am actually going to just sign on with you and call Trick my low shot, because it is brutally bad for him to have lost to Eddie fucking Thorpe on a PLE. Oh my god, what are you doing, Sean? Go away.
If your last name was Thorpe, I would still love you, but God, it would be a labor.
I would personally argue that my name is worse. My last name is worse than Thorpe, but I appreciate the love.
You know what? You're welcome. You deserve it. High spot. God, I feel like the high spot should be just this whole atmosphere for just being so giddy tonight. But I'm gonna say the high spot. I actually do have a nice pickings this week, whether we want to talk about chamber qualifiers or championship matches. I'm gonna say my high spot Stephanie Vicaire. won the Women's North American Championship. I'm actually liking how Stephanie's being built in NXT. I think when she wins the Women's Championship, right now, just the way it's looking, should get a pretty decent fucking pop. So, yeah, Stephanie's going to be my high spot. What about you, friend?
My high spot is going to be. Oh, I'm having a hard time remembering things. We just went over all this shit. Why can't I remember any of
Your face might be feeling overwhelmed because we were really turning up a few minutes ago. So,
it? Am I getting early onset dementia?
oh God, don't put that out in the universe. What the fuck? Look, we already have a spoon's worth of plastic in our brains. We don't need anything else going on.
A spoon's worth?
That's what the studies say, yeah. Enjoy those
Oh,
nanoplastics, kids.
are they nano or micro?
Nano.
Well, that's better than micro, right?
I mean, I guess it's still a spoon's worth, though. I mean, imagine them all coming together and being like, "What's that shape in the amygdala? It's a spoon." Holy shit! Then again, they never said what kind of spoon. Like, is it a teaspoon? You know, like what's going on there? But
I don't want to think about it.
but yeah, who's your eye spot?
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm sorry. You're
I
pressuring me.
I believe in you. It's okay.
Uh,
Sending you emergency hug stickers on Facebook. You seem like you need it.
you said that there were a lot of options. I can only see like two.
Okay, well, that's more than zero. What are the two you're thinking about?
Bailey,
Yeah,
because she qualified for the chamber by beating Lyra,
yeah.
and Julia for retaining.
Okay, then which of those two do you like more?
I guess Oba too, but like, look who he retained against. Ew.
That's so true, King.
You know what? Another option would be Damian Priest. I'm gonna get yeah. We'll call the other two I mentioned honorable mentions, and my actual high spot will be Damian Priest because he overcame two fucking monsters to win that match.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about covers
Everyone else
it.
is giving their high spots to Goto.
Oh my God.
Oh my Goto.
Wow. Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What?
we're- No, nothing. We don't need to make it a thing, okay? Um,
Thank you for
I'm
the
just.
hug stickers, by
Oh, you're welcome. You're beautiful. Um, so with that, let's go home, huh? I feel like the energy is ready for all of us to go
the way. I
home.
would love that. Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. This has been the weekend review. This has been TwitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. Be sure to like the videos you file out, subscribe to the bell icon for notifications so you miss any of that TwitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the stream box. Follow us on Blue Sky and Twitch. We're the best wrestling podcast in all the AWC. And we will see you guys again. When will we see them again, bud? Is it going to be Tuesday for fucking Supreme Fight? Starting this week?
Yeah. Yeah. Stardom Supreme Fight Tuesday.
What time do we agree to do that? 5? Or are we even going to need to do
5
the
at
4
the
o'clock zone?
absolute latest.
Should we aim for 4 potentially? How many matches are we even doing from Supreme Fight?
I don't know.
Oh God. Okay, we need to hammer that out clearly. Um. So yeah, we'll say 5, and hopefully that'll be enough time. I mean, it's 3 fucking hours between that and NXT. So like, I
Mhm.
hope it's enough time. So yeah, Tuesday 5 Supreme Fight, and then Thursday we'll be just recapping Stardom from all the other shows. We're gonna have a lot to pick from. Jesus Christ. Hopefully it won't be too bad though. And yeah, if you're just here though for the American wrestling recaps with a little bit of everything else, if it's newsworthy, then just join us back here Saturday at 10:30 for more in review. Until then, and I say this with more emphasis than ever in the times we're living in, be good to yourselves and because you don't need to help the fucking pieces of shit put you down. And definitely be good to each other because solidarity has never fucking mattered more. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all. Love you guys, and tune in and peace out.